probably the most impactful lesson that I learned, and I learned this in college, was that bad things are going to happen. Just there's going to be situations that are out of your control where you're going to experience negative outcomes, and you have to be willing to persevere through that, knowing that it's only temporary. It could be a long time, but it's still temporary. It's not going to last forever. And so when I left the NFL, I had a really tough time. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say I was clinically depressed, but I would argue I was probably clinically depressed. My wife would tell you I was probably clinically depressed. But through that process, I never got too down in the weeds into the darkness of the depression, because I always felt this sense of hope that I was going to come out of it, that even though I was going through that dark time, there were lessons that I was learning that were forcing me to address things that I had never addressed before, that was going to come out positive on the other end. Throughout my college career, I had a lot of challenges where there was one point my junior year, I was planning on leaving Stanford. Wasn't getting along with the coach, wasn't playing, but in that process, I learned, like, okay, just going to put my head down, whatever comes, and just enjoy the process. And I had success, right? And then my second year in the NFL, when it was injury riddled and I didn't know what was going to happen. And then, the next year they bring in Percy Harvin, which essentially was to take my job, right? I had to go back to that same mindset, like just put my head down, focus on what I can control, and whatever comes of it will come. And I had success with that as well. And so when I left the NFL and I started feeling those emotions, right? And it was, I didn't really have control over it. I wish I did have control over it, but it wasn't something that I had control over, right? And as a competitor, as somebody who's been in an environment that feels really confident about controlling the outcome, right? It was foreign space for me. I'm in a mental state where, like, I wake up, I'm just sad, and I don't know why I'm sad, and I can't break out of it, right? And so being in that mindset, I had to have something to fall back on where I knew that I was going to get out of it, and I knew I was going to be okay for my children, right? So I always had that hope, and I learned that through the process of college and NFL, and quite frankly, my previous years in football too, but more profoundly in college and my second year in the NFL.